Welcome. Local Candidate Forum, sponsored by the Monmouth Independence Chamber of Commerce. I'm Mark Henkels, Professor of Public Policy and Administration here at Western Oregon. I'll be the moderator for this event, along with Kathleen Mason, who is the Executive Director of the Monmouth Independence Chamber of Commerce and Visitors Center. Kathleen, would you like to say a few words?
Yes, hello everyone, and welcome to this very important candidate forum, and we want to thank all of the candidates for taking the time out of their busy day to join us and to give their views to their potential constituency. Thank you so much, and to Western Oregon University.
Thank you. Well, it's a great honor to moderate this event. The core of democracy is effective elections. Effective elections require broad participation and honest and clear candidate communications. This being a presidential election, participation should be high. The purpose of this event is to enable voters to see and hear the candidates without the filters of advertising, and also to receive clear responses to their questions and concerns. This forum has 4 sections. First, we will be seeing and hearing from the Monmouth City candidates. Then we'll move on to the House District 20 candidates, then the Polk County Commissioner candidates, and finally we will conclude with the City of Independence candidates. Some candidates could not make it to the forum, and we have allowed them to submit brief introductions of themselves. I will be reading these before we start the questions for each section. Each speaker will have 30 seconds to introduce themselves, then we will proceed to questions that were previously submitted. We wish we could put forward all the questions that were submitted verbatim. Unfortunately, even though we are limiting responses to 2 minutes, there simply is not enough time to consider all the questions and to read all the commentary that came in with the questions. We apologize to any who feel that their questions were overlooked or distorted. But we are making time for some questions to be submitted during this broadcast. So, if you're in the live audience today, Wednesday afternoon, send your questions in. Okay, so let us begin. We're going to start with Monmouth, and I will read the statements for the candidates who cannot make it, and then we're going to move and have the different candidates provide their own brief biographies. Okay, first person who couldn't make it tonight is Jason Bransk. And this is his statement. He is running for the City Council. Thank you. These are his words. Thank you for allowing me the ability to introduce myself outside of the Zoom forum. My name is Jason Bransk. I have spent almost my whole life living in Monmouth. Both of my parents ran small businesses here, and I plan on opening a car wash in the community while operating the auto detail shop I started 2 years ago. I've worked over 10 years for a medium-sized municipality. During my tenure, I have also received my bachelor's in organizational management and my master's degree in public administration from Villanova University. I have been involved in union contract negotiations, budgeting, policy change, and implementation. I feel that my background aligns well with becoming a city council member. I have watched our community grow from a few thousand people with acres of orchards and farmland surrounding a small town to where we are today. I believe growth does come with certain growing pains, but if addressed appropriately, we can minimize the burden on the community. If elected, I would like to make sure that as we continue to build and grow, our community can sustain critical infrastructure while keeping costs as low as possible. With new homes and complexes being built, we should be able to find ways to keep our citizens from having to commute in order to find good-paying jobs. By looking for ways to bring commercial and industrial growth to our area, we could cut travel in and out of our community, reduce the carbon impact that commuting creates, and take those larger consumers to keep our city utility costs to a minimum. Thank you again for letting me share who I am, Jason Bransk. Another person who could not make it tonight, thank you candidates who are here for your patience, is Seth Rogers. These are what Seth Rogers wanted me to read. Thank you for the opportunity to serve. I am running for council as I believe Monmouth has tremendous potential as a community to benefit from its citizens through continued growth. While there are numerous issues facing Monmouth, the City Council has the ability to influence and correct problems. Issue resolution is achieved through the application of resources based on the priorities of the city and its citizens. Effective application of city resources is critical and extends beyond economic and socioeconomic boundaries. The citizens of Monmouth are the most precious resource the city has, serving them as the cornerstone of why I'm running. Small business drives the economic capacity for all cities. We, as the citizens of Monmouth and the City Council at large, must incentivize small business growth within the city. Additionally, growing the city by creating housing options will enable revenue, which can be applied to city infrastructure and programs such as, but certainly not limited to, law enforcement, library, parks, and the fire department. These sentiments are nearly universally accepted, and I ask for your consideration when voting in November. Thank you for your time and the opportunity to serve. My background and experience include managing federal budgets in excess of $100 million, serving as Monmouth Budget Committee member 2006 to 2010, and working several full-time supervisory and executive roles in the federal sector across the nation. I have over 25 years of federal service, including time in the military, where I've served in multiple combat and overseas operations, receiving numerous accolades, decorations, and awards. Thank you again for the opportunity to serve. That's from Seth Rogers. Finally, our mayor's candidate could not make it, and this is the statement for Lisa Shearman. I am Lisa Shearman, and I'm running for mayor of Monmouth. I'm a wife, mom, runner, traveler, small business owner, real estate broker, and real estate investor. I've lived in Monmouth for over 20 years, graduated from Western Oregon University with 2 degrees, and have over 17 years working in and with local municipalities. Why I'm running for office. I have 2 children that are part of this community, and I want them to have every possible opportunity to thrive in this community. What I seek to accomplish in office. The needs for the city and what I would like to accomplish while in office go hand in hand. Support and improve our law enforcement, fiscal accountability, housing, and small business growth. More housing, more businesses, better use of our current dollars with a sustainable budget will allow us to strengthen, improve Monmouth's infrastructure and make Monmouth a better community to live in and attract new people to want to come to Monmouth and stay. Okay, that was the statement by Lisa Shearman, candidate for mayor. So now we'll turn to our candidates who are with us today. And we'll begin by having a brief biography provided by them. And let's start off with Cecilia Coons, mayor.
Thank you, Dr. Henkels. I am Cecilia Kuntz. I go by Cease, and I am honored to serve as the current mayor of Monmouth, as well as my day job at the Central School District as Director of Finance and Operations. The last 2 years of my term have certainly been full of challenges for our city, for our small businesses, families, our education systems, and for me personally as a community leader. I'm proud of the way we have been working through them and to not only weather them, but to grow stronger. Your city council has hired a new manager. We are tackling long-delayed projects, including economic development, levels of city service, public safety, local amenities, and how we responsibly manage growth, along with very important improvements in community engagement. I want to continue in this position and see that work through. I want to lay the groundwork for future sustainability, opportunity, equality, and justice for all in Monmouth, and I appreciate this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Cease. And now we'll hear from candidates for City Council. Let's start with Byron Schinkel.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate the time and the effort everybody made in making this forum possible. My name is Byron Schenkel. I'm running for City Council. I am currently on City Council, and I have lived in Monmouth since around 1981. We moved over from Independence. I'm married with 5 kids. I'm a small business owner in the community. A lot of roots. All my brothers and sisters lived here, and were raised here as well. It really is home for me and my family. I am really proud of the work that the City Council has been able to do and get going on some things, pushing some things down the road with the help of Mayor Kuntz. Really appreciate her help and everybody on the council's help. It's been a great experience. We're not done. We have a great city, but there's still work to do, and I'm hoping that I've earned people's trust, I've earned people's confidence, and I'd appreciate your vote of confidence and your vote so I can help continue the momentum that we have going forward on some of these really important projects. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Byron. Darren Silbernagle, would you like to speak? Oh, Darren's not here? I should have noticed that. And Adam Jefferson is not with us. So we're going to turn to Carol McKeel. Kill, please. Carol?
Yeah, sorry, there's a little trouble getting unmuted there. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I've been an academic administrator and educator for over 20 years and have experience solving tough problems through effective collaborations, as well as balancing tight budgets. I have direct experience as an effective steward of taxpayer dollars and know the importance of listening carefully to understand people's concerns and then finding ways to address them. I started out as an elementary teacher and now work at a university in the teacher education program. Over my career, I've had a passion to talk with students to try to understand what they need and then problem solve with them on how to solve their concerns. And I think this is an important quality for an elected official. I moved to Monmouth 12 years ago with my husband of 43 years, and then we love living here. I served on the Bike Pedestrian Safety Committee and the Tree Advisory Board as part of my enjoyment of giving back to the community. I think also I have a strong ability to vision the possibilities and have the energy to make things happen. Thank you for this opportunity again.
Well, thank you very much, Carol. Okay, John Oberst, would you like to speak?
Sure. First of all, thanks for the opportunity to address the community. Thanks to the Chamber. And thanks to you, Hinkles, for taking on the thanks of moderating this. My name is John Oberst. I moved to Monmouth 30 years next week. My wife and I came. She was a faculty member until she retired about a year ago, teaching dance. We had 2 kids. I was home with them through their growing up. And partway through that, I became involved in the community working with the Friends Advisory Board. That led to the Traffic Commission and then the Planning Commission, where I was chair for two and a half years. And then finally, I became for the decade of 2007 to 2017. I stepped back from city government at that point, but I got really excited about the direction that I see Monmouth headed right now. I'm really excited about what this council and mayor have accomplished. They've got some things done that I tried to get done. Couldn't quite get to it. I have just a little bit of concern about our future growth. Yes, we absolutely positively need those cities in Oregon either grow or cut budgets because of the way we fund those cities, but we have a real limitation on how much empty land we have left to do that growth in commercial and residentially. I believe that it's certain that council will address that shortage of available land at some point down the road, but it needs to happen in the next 5 to 10 years. I was downtown, and there was, I spent many hours working on trying to get this, and we now have $7 million bill for that lot. Again, we're excited about that. And the new City Hall building that positively must be built, an item that I would like to work on. The building we have right now, an earthquake would effectively decay local government when we need it most. I would have the opportunity to join back in the governance. I see lots of good things coming in the future, and I'd appreciate the support of the community and to see that moving forward. Thanks.
Thank you very much, John. And now we could hear from Jason Ridgway, please.
Good afternoon. It's really exciting to see all the faces here and the people that are excited about local government here in Monmouth. Dr. Henkels, it's been a long time, 2001, political science 202, state and local government. I appreciate the opportunity to see in this setting. I'm Jason Ridgway, and I'm interested in this city council position for a variety of reasons. One, I'll say a couple things about my current work as a parole and probation officer in Clackamas County. I've been able to gain lots of experience working individually with people to solve difficult problems and help people change their lives. I think that's something that's necessary with anyone that works in local government, is to have that focus and that desire to just see positive growth in people and provide the mechanisms to see that happen. Meeting people where they're at is very important to me, and that's something that City Council can be involved in. I began my career as a teacher, went through Western Oregon University, graduated 2003, began teaching in middle and high school levels. Had a change in careers a few years later. Still am a substitute teacher and enjoy doing that on the side. I've been involved in the community as a coach at elementary, middle, high school levels. My wife and two children, both middle school, live here in the community. We all really enjoy it here and hope that the same things that brought us here to settle our family are around when as our kids get older and we can remain here. So very excited to see the direction of the city, and I would like to see us take a serious look at whether we are a growing metropolis or whether we maintain the small town feel that most people seem to be interested in. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jason. And now we're going to hear from Rebecca Salinas Oliveros.
Thank you so much. I'm Rebecca Salinas Oliveros, and I'm excited to be one of your candidates for Monmouth City Council. I moved to Monmouth as a student back in the 90s and pretty much never left. I am new to city government, but I have over 20 years working with people of all religions, political affiliations, gender, sexual orientation, and ethnic backgrounds. I work in various leadership roles to help make vital decisions for students, small businesses, academic standards, industry, families, and overall work towards making people's lives better. I am a first-generation student and graduated with a bachelor's degree from Oregon State University in Human Development and Family Sciences and a master's degree from Portland State University in Adult Learning and Student Services. I believe Black Lives Matter and that unity, regardless of differences, is vital to bringing people together. I believe everyone can contribute to help Monmouth become an even better city. If given the opportunity, I will listen to all sides and use an equitable lens in making decisions. I am determined to do my best to serve this community by listening, acting with integrity, and working collaboratively towards positive change. I envision a safe and inclusive community where everyone is valued and all voices are heard. To continue moving Monmouth forward by working with the current City Council and our new City Manager, Marty Wine. I envision working with the current City Council plans for a stronger communication network where all citizens are engaged by contributing feedback and being informed. Improving communication is the City of Monmouth's highest priority. I envision working closely with our Economic Development Director, Susan Duffler, and contributing the great work already started, supporting small businesses with phase 1 and 2 of COVID-19 relief grants, and partnering with our neighboring city and independents for technical assistance through Chemeketa Center for Business and Industry, who are consulting and providing audits of how to run a successful business during these difficult times. Finally, I envision working more closely with our city to partner with our university and schools to support children, families, and students to promote equitable education, real-life learning opportunities with the city, and meeting basic human needs for our low-income families and students. As Helen Keller once said, alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Rebecca. And now we'll start questions, and these questions are for all of our candidates. If you are an incumbent, what contribution to city government are you most proud of, and what is your top priority now? If you're a newcomer, what are your top 2 goals? Cease, would you start with your response?
Sure. Thank you, Mark. The last 2 years, I'm pretty much most proud of us getting through it. This, as I mentioned in my opening statement, has been a challenging time, but we are on a very strong path forward. Our number one job as elected officials is really to have the right city staff in place. They do the day-to-day work. And when our prior city manager, who'd been with us for 12 years, moved on, we were told the most important thing we could do was hire the right city manager. And we have an amazing professional coming to join us in November. I am really looking forward to working with her because of her talent and skills, and she wants to be a part of this community. Quickly, my only other really important thing I think that we've done is we have created a much stronger bond between Monmouth, Independence, our university, our school district, and even our fire district. The way we have worked together through this pandemic will set the tone for years to come of a much stronger community for all of us.
Thank you very much. We'll move to the council candidates now. And Carol, what would be your 2 top goals?
First, I think we can do more to make our city welcoming and safe for everyone. I've personally found Monmouth is a really wonderful city to live in, but not everyone has the same experience living here. We've heard from people of color, Black and Indigenous people, that they are having a very different experience living in Monmouth and don't always feel safe. I think we need to set up processes where they can express their concerns and then figure out how to address those concerns. With that, I also want to work with the police department to assist them with how they connect with community members and provide support for their work. Second, I think we need to focus on climate change, which means having a systemic change to business as usual operations and the way we think. Operational and policy decisions need to be evaluated for their impact on climate change. I think it's only through thorough examination of our actions that we can make foundational changes that make a difference with climate change. I think, for example, a really simple idea is when the city purchases a vehicle, we need to have an evaluation as to whether it should be electric or not. Because since Monmouth gets over 90% of its electricity through hydropower, we're perfectly situated to promote electric vehicles here. I think another climate-friendly change is to have more bike and walking paths in and around Monmouth. In the 2018 Economic Development Survey, 30% of the respondents said they wanted improved sidewalks. And the Monmouth Engaged project said they wanted more sidewalks and bike paths. It was third on the list of 4. So encouraging people to bike and walk more and drive less is something that we can do very soundly for climate change, to alleviate climate change. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carol. John, would you like to say what your 2 top goals are?
Absolutely. First of all, as I mentioned earlier, City Hall is a critical issue. There was an attempt, must be a few years ago now, to that City Hall. The City Council at that time, probably more like 20, asked voters for support for a new building, and it almost passed. And we have stuck with that same building. It is standard in so many ways. It does not meet the needs of our city staff or of our community any longer. And well past time that building is replaced, and I would really like to work on this. The council's done a great job with getting a plan on the ground. There's a need to ask voters for support in order to be involved in that effort. We did getting the police a new police station a few years ago, and I believe it's time to add City Hall as well. The other piece that I'm really excited about is the council is committed to the development program. We have far too long had the feeling that if we just sit here, the outside world will notice us and bring us economic development. It does not work that way. We need to be sure that we're reaching out and inviting development to this community, commercial, residential. As I mentioned earlier, that will include how to make a shift in our urban growth boundary so that we can pick up land inside the urban growth boundary, outside city limits. That the owner really want to, because right now we have a 30-year reserve of land that the owners do not want to. So we need to make it there to enable the community to continue to grow in a rational way, in a way that can support its operations budgetarily.
Okay, thank you very much. Jason, your 2 top goals.
Thank you. So first, number 1 is engaging the community. I think that all of us here would agree that that's something that needs to be more of a priority. I'm not sure how many people are tuned into this particular broadcast, but I know it's not 10,000. And we have a very small number of representatives that meet for City Council and make some pretty important decisions. And I don't think the majority of our community is aware of all the issues that are being considered, that are being voted on and passed. So my hope is to find a more effective way of reaching out to the community besides just the once a month newsletter that goes out with the utility bill, that can connect with people, give them an understanding of what's happening, and in simple terms, without tuning into a 3-hour, sometimes maybe not 3 hours, but a long city council meeting, and sort through what they can understand and what they're interested in. Connection is number 1. Number 2 is I think there needs to be a stronger emphasis on creating a sustainable budget. We have some big ticket items that come up from time to time, and the typical response is to seek out more funds from the community in the form of a general, a new bond that's given to the taxpayers to consider. I fully understand there's a need for upgrades and replacement buildings from time to time, especially given that buildings are decades past their intended lifespan. But I would like to see these types of things be planned for ahead of time with a greater emphasis on fiscal responsibility, and not treat the city's budget any different than a family would treat their own personal budget by swiping a credit card or asking for more funds. So those are my 2 top priorities.
Thank you, Jason. Okay, Rebecca, how about your 2 top priorities?
Okay, thank you. So out of my vision, I am picking out 2. And so two of them, one of them would be really continuing to support our small businesses. COVID-19 has really devastated and affected our businesses, our education and families, and how we live our lives. And so continuing to work with the Economic Development Director, Susan Duffler, to really look at different opportunities, grants, state grants. There's some really great plans in place already for revitalization, but helping our businesses will also help our families who work in these businesses. So it's really important that we keep Monmouth moving and really consider the hardships that are happening within many families right now. And then the other priority that, one of my goals, is really upholding the Inclusive City resolution. That's really dear and close to my heart. And I would really want to work closely with our city council and our new city manager, Marty Wine, to create an anti-racism action plan for our city. This is something that Ms. Wine has experience with in their past career. And in this plan, it's really promoting racial equity and racial equity teams where our residents have a safe place to go and submit their concerns, share their stories, gather information, and also a safe place and for our police and our city leaders to get advice and feedback and look at equitable solutions and data and really create some action plans without fear of losing one's job. And I would also like to work with our city council, our city manager, and Western Oregon University and our community to get feedback and create a type of cultural competency as well for our community and our city.
Okay, thank you very much. Byron Schenkel, would you care to speak about what you're most proud of and what your top priority is now?
Sure, it's a great question. I'm proud of a lot of things that the council has been able to do, particularly in the last year, moving forward with some really beneficial developmental projects, and then really getting the ball rolling on the city hall. Very proud of. Something that probably doesn't get too much attention, and something that we discussed in the budget committee as being more forward-looking and strategic with our budgeting process. So and this goes along with the priority going forward, is making sure that as we're budgeting, that we're doing two things: that we're aware of the upcoming challenges that we're going to have, PERS and other things that sort of throw a monkey wrench in the whole operation from time to time. But as well as making sure that the decisions we're making for capital improvement projects and other priorities that we put on that list are in harmony with the city goals. So rather than being reactive to needs, we're strategically thinking and being proactive to what we need. And part of that, to John's point earlier, is making sure that we have the real estate to carry out the plans. And so those are things that I'm proud of, and those are things that I'm looking to accomplish, and hopefully in the next round.
Thank you very much, Byron. So the next question, and this will go to everyone, and we're going to start rotating the order after this question. Monmouth is an inclusive city. What does inclusive mean to you? And in relation to that, how do you feel about the Black Lives Matter and the Blue Lives Matter movements? Cease, would you please start?
Sure, thanks. I was not on council when the Inclusive City Resolution was passed, but it is an important step. It's a small step in really recognizing the value of diversity in our community. I often say I've been in a lot of small rural communities in Oregon, and to find a community that has an opportunity to really grow from diversity is something that's unique, probably because mostly of the university. But I don't think we do enough to really find out what that means to us and to our community identity. As I have said, I think it is important to say Black Lives Matter because we have systemically and historically said they specifically don't. I am of the full mind that the lingering effects of that historic and systemic racism have caused difficulties for persons of color. And we are so much richer for having those people have a full voice at the table. I respect and support our police completely. I feel very confident that we have a good police force. We have, in fact, in the most recent budget cycle, we talked about increasing our force. This council has done nothing these last couple of years, but support the important concept of public safety. And my number one goal for creating a community for Monmouth is a place where the students, our youth, our seniors, everyone in this community feels safe and at home when they are here.
Okay, thank you. Carol, would you like to address that question?
Yeah, Monmouth has a great inclusive statement that they put out a couple of years ago, and I really liked it. But I think we need to work beyond the words in the statement and ensure that people are part of the economy of Monmouth. Can we ensure that they have the housing that they want, that they're able to buy the homes that they want? How are they doing in their jobs? Are we making them feel that they're a vital part of the job economy in Monmouth? Are we recruiting people of color, Black people, into our community to take jobs in town? So all those, I think, are the actions that speak very loudly to the words that are in the inclusive community document. I think with that, too, we have to be very proactive about making sure that they feel safe, and I'd already said something about this, but making sure that they are feeling safe, that their kids are feeling safe, so that they truly know that this is their community. So part of that, I think, is that the Black Lives Matter movement, the protests that we've had in Monmouth. As Cease was saying, we have a 400-year history in the United States that has divided us, has set up a racial hierarchy, and Black Lives Matter, I think, is about bringing voice to that and to bringing this out into the open, to inform people that Black people, people of color, Indigenous people have been left out. And I think by focusing on this as a city, we can not only bring voice to it, but then allow us to have a focus within our city policies, our government, working with businesses, again, working with housing in the area. I know the Blue Lives Matter came up as an issue that came out of Black Lives Matter because we wanted to provide equal time. I think the police have a tough job and we need to support them. However, when they come home from work, they can take off the uniform. And so it's not that we don't support the police, but yes. Oh, sorry. Thank you.
No, that's okay. You addressed the whole question. That was good. Okay, John, would you like to speak to that issue?
Sure. I would just right off the top say there's like sometimes people believe that you either believe Black Lives Matter or Blue Lives Matter, and you can't believe it at the same time. And I would like to say that I do believe both at the same time. I do the job that police officers do. I would not walk up to a car with authority to give them a piece of paper that could cost them hundreds and thousands of dollars, not knowing what they did during that day or what problems they've had with police in the past. They do an amazing job. On the Black Lives Matter side, I just need to quickly, my father was a constitutional law professor who wrote the first civil rights law south of the Mason-Dixon, Kentucky in 1966. I've lived in the South. I know how minorities, and particularly African Americans, are treated and are still treated. this is something we need to address as a country. This is something that it may not be apparent in a small town like Monmouth. There are problems that exist. Inclusivity, I believe, not only includes race and nationality, but also the question of age and gender. And we want to make sure that we get all Monmouth residents aged. Sidewalks, for example, could be seen as an age issue. We want to make sure that senior citizens and children have a safe place to be. One of the most amazing things about our little town, my eldest brother lives in Toronto. And I went to visit once, and I was amazed at how you would hear so many different languages. You get on the subway or the streetcar, and you would hear 5 or 6 different languages in just a few blocks. And one time when I was mayor, I was walking down our main street, and in 2.5 blocks, I heard a conversation in Arabic. I heard another conversation in Chinese. I heard another conversation in Spanish. I heard one in English. I heard another one. I'm not a student of Asian languages, because could have been Chinese and Japanese. But point being, we have an amazingly cosmopolitan city of 10,000 because of the university. And I believe that when we talk about inclusivity and diversity, to be sure to reach out to those students on campus and make sure that they are part of our community as well, because they have so much to offer us.
Thank you very much, John.
We can travel lectures without leaving in town. So, and that's all I have.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. A lot of questions today, let me just tell you. Okay, Jason, would you like to address that question?
Absolutely. First of all, I think this, one of the things that makes Monmouth such a great place is the inclusive nature that we have within the city. We have a lot of diversity that lives within Monmouth, and I think that makes our community a more rich place to raise a family, for many folks to work here, and so I would like to see that maintained. As far as the different groups that have risen recently with Black Lives Matter, I never would have expected that I'd live in a time where saying that all lives matter is a controversial statement, but I think that's kind of where my heart is treating people equally and fairly. We have a number of rules that are already on the books, laws that are already in place regarding the fair treatment under the law of every citizen. And regardless of their race, creed, color, sexual orientation, gender, we certainly as a city have a number of rules regarding that. So I don't believe there's a need to continue creating more rules. One thing I've learned in working as a parole and probation officer is we cannot force anybody to not be a jerk. That's something that you just can't mandate or require. We have freedoms in the United States, we have freedoms in the state of Oregon and in Monmouth to have our values, to have our opinions, whether they be good or bad. Each person has the freedom to make those decisions themselves and to act appropriately under the restrictions of our laws. I personally am not in support of separating one group from another and saying we're going to give more preference to one particular group than another. I think that's inherently racist. So I believe that everyone should with fairness under the law and equality. Thank you.
Thank you. And Rebecca.
Yes, thank you. First of all, I want to say that all lives matter is not a controversial statement. If you really believe in all lives, then you should be standing up for Black lives. We have to stop segregating all lives and Black lives. This isn't a contest between everybody where everyone receives a trophy. It's about basic human decency and taking care of our part of our all lives family that across our country continue to be murdered by police, demarginalized, and ignored for over 400 years. We also have to look at these issues. They're not equitable issues. Blue lives and Black lives are different. Think about it. as the Blue Lives Matter, as a police officer, you do have a choice to become a police officer. And I am so grateful that we have brave men and women who choose this career. Also, historically, any law enforcement agency has been given instant power, regardless of where they stand. Law enforcement always has power. And at the end of the day, they can take their uniform off and do whatever they choose to do in their day. As a person of color, I don't have a choice to be a person of color. I also, as a person of color, have never been given power in this country. Historically, people of color have never been given any power. And at the end of the day, I can't take off my skin. I always wear my color. So these issues, yet they're both important, but they're different. We have to hold our leaders accountable. It is the responsibility of our leaders to build these bridges between our communities and to respect that we are different, yet we stand for equality. We have to find the courage to lead, to do what we know is right. Then and only then will we be able to unite this community.
Thank you. And Byron, would you like to answer the question, please?
Sure. And I think there were two parts. The first one is, what does inclusivity mean to me? And just my thoughts are that people feel safe and comfortable and valued just being who they are. That they can feel that they are part of the community without having to worry about being on the receiving end of some sort of negative treatment because of some inherent characteristic that they possess. That they can feel comfortable walking down the street. They can feel comfortable running a business, going to a business, going out to eat, that kind of thing. And then the second question was, what do I think about the Black Lives Matter and the Blue Lives Matter movements? I think, and it was mentioned earlier, I don't think these are mutually exclusive, although some people it comes off as you're either in one camp or the other camp. I think that really short of legislating thought, to Jason's point earlier, I received a powerful reminder over the weekend from my church leaders that many of these issues start at home and how we teach our children and how we talk to our children about the way we treat each other. And it's important that we do remember that all lives are valuable. All lives are treated the same and should be treated the same by us. And it's a shame that the country has the history it does, specifically towards its treatment of people of color. And it's important that we do what we can going forward to make sure that everybody has an equal seat at the table, whatever that table may be. That everybody has an opportunity to be heard, that everybody's opinions are given the weight that they merit. And those are my thoughts on those topics. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's talk about something different. We're going to talk about economic development. The City of Monmouth is working on an economic development strategic plan. What do you think should be the top 2 priority goals or policies for that strategic plan? And we will start off with Cease.
I just want to listen on this one because we are working on that plan. We have an ad hoc strategic advisory committee, and I am very excited about the ideas coming forth. So I really want to hear what folks think. Obviously, this is an age-old push-pull between growth, development, and keeping our small towns. So we have so many advantages to make those things not mutually exclusive, but I'm going to sit back and listen to good ideas on this one.
Okay. John, would you like to provide us what you think are 2 good ideas related to areas and goals or strategies for an economic plan?
Do I only get 2?
Two.
So one of the ones that stands out for me is a lack of whole family style restaurants. We have what used to be Jay's, now the grain station on Highway 99 and most of our eateries are geared more towards out or they are style places. I've loved a family style restaurant in town. I know that at one point, Oregon gave Polk County an award for the finest roads in the state of Oregon. The recycled community knows we are here, and I believe they're missing a good bet by engaging those folks and letting them become demand independents. That Independence Hotel was built at some level with cyclists in mind, room for their bikes in the rooms. And I think we have an opportunity to bring those folks on up from the river to them. And it's something we need to do. In general, continue to develop our commercial sector. Again, we're running out of commercial land. There are some areas that are commercial that are currently occupied by residential. I would hate to see the houses go, but if there's for residential land or for commercial land, maybe that's where we need to head. And then finally, part of economic development is the people. And we be sure that we're keep affordable housing in Monmouth, which means making sure that there's place to build housing. Because as soon as there's no room to build over here, we'll start to see prices go through the roof. And if we want to maintain an affordable housing situation in Monmouth, we need to get that.
Okay, thank you. Jason.
So a couple of great points already. I like the idea of balancing the desire to stay small with also the ability for our city to have more opportunities in our business sector. And I think that the goal for our local economy is to maximize the business opportunities that we have. Like John said, that there's a shortage of some businesses, some different types of businesses that unfortunately force a lot of our local dollars to head to areas like Corvallis or Salem. So we need to try to capture some of that market here locally by creating things that people want to spend money on. I would like to see the residential areas maintained and not be encroached upon by more business space. However, there's room for improvement with the existing business lots and finding owners that can provide a service that people are interested in frequenting. So there's a lot of room for growth within our current boundaries, and I just think that needs to be an ongoing discussion to invite business owners to come to Monmouth and to stay in Monmouth. This is a difficult business climate right now with the effects of the COVID shutdowns, but I think that's going to slowly improve with some time, and we need to make sure that we as a city are welcoming and open for business here.
Thank you. Rebecca.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Hinkle. So what I would like to see with economic development, I would like to see some stronger ties with our university and our students. One of my specialty areas at Chemeketa is I work with interns and businesses and industry, and I am preparing people for the workplace, and I'm helping industry figure out where to go and how to build a qualified workplace and to connect them with other resources. So if we can connect with our students, wouldn't it be amazing to have these partnerships like our new sustainability program at Western and work with the city on real life sustainability projects, or our business students working on this economic development problem and working with our city to come up with some great plans to keep our citizens engaged, looking at safety corridors. We have an amazing opportunity with our community here. And what if we had a safety corridor where our students don't feel like they have to go to Salem or Corvallis? They can get everything done here in our community with our businesses and restaurants. And some of our other community members who maybe don't have a car and have a way to to have that transportation in our community. So we have great opportunities to partner and to grow and do it in a way where it's also attracting tourism. Something exciting that Susan Duffler and I were talking about, who works with economic development, was some different ideas of marketing and getting people to spend their money in our city. Well, we have to start looking at the big picture, and all of our decisions connect together. So we are a unique small town, and look at the diversity we have in businesses and restaurants, and look what we're doing with our parks. Maybe we're considering and create some parks that are ADA accessible. So,
Time.
okay, so thank you. There's many opportunities that we can have in economic development.
Thank you very much. Byron?
Great question. Thank you. I think that if you ask 100 people the same question, you're going to get 100 different answers. And I think that is my first priority is, and we've talked about this on council, is figuring out who we are. You know, if we were selling something, what would that thing that we're selling be? And then secondly, let's be the best at that. Let's embrace our strengths. And I think the growth will occur, and I think good things, good collateral things come out of being the best you can at whatever that is. Are we, you know, some people think this is a dirty expression, but are we a bedroom community? If we are a bedroom community, let's be the best bedroom community. And then we can attract development, and we can attract people and grow our resource base for funding the awesome services that our city provides. Water and light and internet and all of these things that they do so very well. A huge opportunity, I think, that going forward is really that 99 corridor. How many thousands of cars pass through that intersection every single day. And I won't say it's the most attractive corridor I've ever driven through. And a lot of people, and maybe for that reason, people don't hang a left when they're coming from the south or hang a right when they're coming from the north. Because I think a lot of people, once they get downtown, they're like, wow. They get downtown and sometimes they never leave. They move here. And I think that poses a great opportunity is focusing on that 99 corridor. Thanks for the question.
Thank you. Carol, your thoughts?
Yeah, thank you. I think we have a good start on the economic development plan. I looked at from the 2018 Economic Development Survey, 73% of residents in Monmouth wanted to have more restaurants that were sit-down, as John was mentioning. Specifically, they wanted the family type, the upscale restaurants. And I know the City Council has really been focused on developing the downtown, so we can have more offerings from residents, because they also wanted more places to shop, more community events for them. But the whole thing that the residents are saying is that we want to spend locally, because which comes out of the small town feel that they think that they really like about Monmouth. So I look at economic development. It's really difficult to say, oh, these are the two things we want to work on, because it's also interconnected. If you have people spending their money here, then they're not going to be driving, in which case having local economic development is also about helping climate change. We're not going to be driving our cars as much. Having a small town focus, if we have bikes, more bike paths, we get people to stay here, take their bikes to the restaurants, take their bikes to shopping, and it helps climate change. I think one of the things that hasn't been mentioned yet, and I think it's come out of COVID, is people have figured out how to start their own businesses in Monmouth and work in their homes. And I would like to see, as part of economic development, how can we promote this with people as they get a good idea, want to work from home, and how can we help them get that started? And again, I have a theme on climate change. The less people are driving, the better off our climate's going to be.
Okay. Thank you very much. We have 2 minutes left. I'm going to ask you to say one sentence that says what voters should have on their mind when they vote. And let's start off with Rebecca. Sorry, someone had to start.
So one sentence, I listen to all sides and I use an equitable lens when making decisions. I hope I have your vote.
Thank you. Byron?
I hope I've earned your trust, and let's continue the good momentum that we have had going, and I would appreciate your support.
Very good. Carol?
I have community and work experiences to provide a good background for serving on city council, and want to use my listening and problem-solving skills and my perspective on people issues that include parents, kids, families.
Thank you. John?
I have always about what is wrong, and I would like to continue working on that. And I would ask for your support so we can continue the role that the city is on right now.
Jason?
I love problem solving. I think this is a great opportunity to get some new ideas and work with others to develop the best Monmouth that we can all enjoy together.
Thank you. And Cease?
Thanks. I have been involved in this community for over 40 years. I love it. I want to see it move forward, and we have taken great steps towards that I really, really want to see through, and I appreciate everyone who's going along with us on that. Thanks.
Well, thank you all very much. It's been very interesting. I believe we're going to take a 1-minute break, and then we're going to come back and have the candidates from District 20. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, welcome back. This is the local candidates discussion or debate presentation here at Western Oregon University for Polk County and Monmouth and Independence. Now we're going to turn to our House representatives from District 20. And we're going to begin with a 30-second statement from each of our candidates regarding who they are and why they are running, and then we'll turn to questions. For each question, you'll have 2 minutes to reply. Okay, let's start off with Paul Evans, the incumbent.
First of all, I want to say thank you very much for allowing us to have this opportunity to be here today. I am running for a fourth term to the Oregon House of Representatives. I believe this campaign comes down to service, leadership, experience, and results. And I look forward to the questions that we're going to be having today and look forward to the dialogue. Thank you.
Thank you. And Selma Pierce.
Thank you for inviting me to this forum and giving me this opportunity to speak with you. I'm Selma Pierce, and I'm running for state representative for House District 20. I'm a dentist and a community volunteer, and Oregon has a lot of issues going on, and this COVID has not helped. And so we have issues with our schools, we have issues with our working families and small businesses, and people are under a lot of stress at this time because of the COVID. So Oregon has a lot to do, and I am hoping that we can move Oregon forward to a better place. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you and welcome. Question number 1. Our education system is one of the worst in the country. Well, it certainly is by some measures. What kind of structural reforms, without raising taxes, are needed to improve schools? Let's start with Selma.
Yes, our educational system could use a lot of work. We have a large achievement gap between certain people, and during this COVID, it is not helping at all. So really, we could say that we need to work on our kids so that they can be better and reach their potential. A lot of them, for example, do not get to go to early childhood education, and so when they start school, they're not at the starting line with the other kids, so they're behind at the beginning. We need more emphasis on third grade reading, third grade math, so when you have those good basic skills, you can move on to the future and do much better. The other thing is, some districts have CTE programs. I noticed that Dallas is developing a center, Salem has a center, but the Central School District does not have a center. And I think that we could offer that to them because this really helps kids graduate. And there are a lot of kids that are losing interest when they become seniors or juniors in high school, and so we need something to energize them. And it turns out that kids that do take CTE classes have a much higher graduation rate. It's no longer in the 80s, but it becomes the 90s, and they're excited about what they're doing, and they are paying attention. So I think that is key to what a lot of our kids do. They want something, and we need to offer it to them.
Thank you very much. Paul.
So, as a lifelong educator, I teach at the community college level. I actually inherit the students that are graduating from the K-12 system. And I would say that we have many challenges before us, but before we start changing the structure, there's a couple of things I think we need to let play out. First, we actually passed a historic Student Success Act in the last legislative session that has yet to fully go into effect. It was designed to help with early learning, wraparound services, and many of the things that my opponent just talked about. We also have, over the last several years, invested in career technical education, and we are improving the apprenticeship programs throughout the state so that changing the mindset of everybody needing to go to college to everybody needs to either go to college or get a good apprenticeship to get a good working family's wage job. That said, we have 197 individual school districts, and we have schools now responsible for immense activities when it comes to kids. This COVID event, I think, has highlighted the role that the school plays in terms of childcare and other types of services. It has highlighted the necessity for wraparound services up to and including meals for students that otherwise wouldn't actually eat. We can't say we need to simply reprioritize. We simply need to just cut the fat. Because over the last 20 plus years, because of Measure 5 and Measure 4750, we have disinvested in the property taxes that originally made Oregon schools among the best in the country. So I think what we need to do is we need to recognize, number one, the schools have changed. Number two, we need to be very clear about putting the investments that we have made to work, to make sure we understand what they will do and what they won't do. Number three, post-COVID, we need to look at what lessons we've learned in terms of how we can become smarter using certain types of technologies. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next question. Healthcare is becoming less and less affordable. What kind of structural reforms, without raising taxes, are needed in our healthcare system to lower costs? Paul, could you start with that?
Well, first of all, when it comes to healthcare, a lot is actually at stake having to do with the ACA that's going to be before the court in the next month or so. We have done the best we can at the state level through CCOs to try and squeeze out waste. We've tried to make health affordability more of a standard for working families throughout the state, and I believe that we have actually made real progress. What we have to do next is recognize what we can and can't afford and what level of health care really is the standard for children, for adults, and for our senior and aging populations. Again, money doesn't solve problems, but the lack of money, the lack of investment over the last 20 years certainly has created challenges. Unlike my opponent, I actually was on the side of expanding Medicare and Medicaid several sessions back when ballot measure 101 went out to the voters. And I think that was an important investment. Right now, in the middle of a global contagion, is not the time for us to make structural changes on healthcare if we don't know the outcome, if we don't know what the feds will or won't be investing, and what will or won't be the realities post-COVID in terms of vaccines and or workplace safety. So what I believe we need to do is have a very clear-eyed approach through this next legislative session, implement lessons learned, and find a way to ensure that we keep workforce safety a priority as we look at trying to make healthcare more affordable and more available. Hopefully the ACA will continue. If it doesn't, then we're going to have to be even more creative with our CCO system and find new ways to provide that affordable health care.
Thank you very much. Selma, please.
Well, our healthcare system has gotten more and more expensive. I had a relative that bought his own, and it started out, sounded very nice, and it was very affordable, but within 2 years it had almost gone up about 40%, and that's a lot. So what we need to do is make sure that we don't have monopolies in any of our systems, because when that happens, there is no competition and then the prices go up. The other thing is we need to lower drug costs. Sometimes drugs are expensive when they're new, but when the patent goes off, what happens is some of these companies buy up those generic companies, and so they can raise the prices of the generics. So we need to make sure that does not happen. Also, sometimes the pharmacy benefit managers can bargain and get a discount, so to speak, but the discount is not passed on to the patient. Also, we need to know price transparency. How much do things actually cost? What are we paying for? Because when you don't have any interest in that, then people can raise the prices and no one knows, and then we wind up with a more expensive system. The other thing is we need to make sure that we have some healthy habits that are promoted. For example, they say don't eat too much, don't smoke, don't take drugs, get some exercise. And those are simple things that can be done on a personal basis that anybody can do, and even a little bit will make a lot of difference. But they also have to be culturally sensitive. I had a grandmother that had diabetes. They told her she could not eat rice. Now, rice is a staple for a lot of Asian families, and so when she was told she could not eat rice, that did not help her, because then she felt like her lifeline was cut off. So any healthy habits that we promote, whether it's walking or making sure that you don't eat too much, those need to be those things that people feel they can do, otherwise they will not improve on those health habits. And so those things will gently work and will decrease the price of our health care.
Thank you very much. Next question. Do you support action on climate change? If so, what are the top 2 actions by our government would you support to slow down climate change? If not, could you explain why not? Selma, could you start off?
Sure. I do believe in climate change. There have been studies by the National Academies of Science, and they say there is, and I've also noticed it in certain communities that I visit. When I go visit my mom, I noticed this used to be foggy, like kind of at the beach, but really it's gotten much warmer in the last few years. So the other thing is we have resources such as universities that do research, and I'd like some of our universities to get into that research where they're researching green energy, clean energy, because Oregon is very blessed to have a lot of people concerned about the environment. So actually we have a very clean environment compared to the rest of the world. But there is a lot of emissions that come from other developing countries such as China and India that really really are not what we're looking for. But if they have the technology that could help them with those problems, and if they came from Oregon, that would be great, because then we could export it, we would have another economic base, and also we could be helping the world, because we all live in one atmosphere, and what we do here in Oregon is not just here in Oregon, but it does spread out throughout the world. And what other countries do is not kept in their borders, but it is also transported to our area. So I'd like to see us develop that, but I also like to see that when you develop a policy, it's not a good one when half the population is not interested in partaking. Because then when you don't have people join in, then you do not have really a good plan. For example, the bottle bill, everyone thought it was a good idea. We all did it, and it was helping, and other countries have picked up on it, and it is helping their environment. So when you get more people on board, it really does help that everyone would do the same thing, and it would improve what we are trying to do, and we would have the goal of reaching a lower emissions level.
Okay, thank you very much. Paul, would you like to comment on that?
Thank you. Global climate change is the existential threat of our lifetime. As a legislator in the last 6 years, I was the 31st vote for protecting the low carbon fuel standard. I have voted for most of the major legislation that has moved forward, including moving to non-coal generation of power by 2040, as well as trying to get rid of diesel emissions from trucks and other vehicles in the near future. Moving forward, I also plan on supporting what I have already in terms of the Clean Energy Jobs bill that my opponent did not support. I believe that the governor's current Oregon Climate Action Plan is a good plan moving forward that needs to be supported. I also believe that we need to rethink what global climate change really presents us with. It's not just a threat, but it is in fact an opportunity. If we look at, for example, House Bill 3025 and 3027, bills I introduced in the last legislative session, called the Western Oregon Regional Carbon Sink and the bonding necessary to make it happen, we can add 1 billion trees to the Oregon network of sequestration and become even more of a global value in terms of sequestration of carbon, especially once we rejoin the Paris Accord. We also need to look at environmental policy, not just as global climate change, but in fact pollution and the effects of pollution. In a recent study here in Salem, or at least Salem part of the district, there's a 10-year difference between those who live in Northeast Salem versus those who live in West Salem in terms of life expectancy, and it has everything to do with the economics of pollution, the economics of how we as a society manage the byproduct of progress. I think that there's a lot of work to do. I look forward to continuing that work, and I'm grateful for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Now, for something a bit different, recently Ruth Bader Ginsburg died, of course, and with her went a major advocate in support of abortion rights. Could you please clearly state your opinion regarding the issue of reproductive rights and access to abortion? Paul, could you go first?
Thank you. Ruth Bader Ginsburg was a little bit of a hero to me, not just because of her stand on reproductive rights, but because of the way in which she advocated for social justice. In fact, I think it is certainly a horrible thing that is going on in terms of the efforts by the Republicans and the national level to push filling that position with somebody who is diametrically opposed to pretty much everything that Justice Ginsburg stood for. I am pro-choice. I actually call myself pro-liberty because I think it has far more to do with control, and that women should have control, full control, over their own life choices involving especially their health and reproductive health. Unfortunately, in this particular race, I believe that I am not just the pro-choice candidate, but I'm also the person who is fighting for making sure that Oregon has those rights without any question. My opponent is, in fact, a member of a party that is trying to do away with those rights, and with the next judicial appointment may very well turn Roe versus Wade on its head. I hope and pray that that never comes to pass, and I will do everything I can to ensure that every woman, as well as every man, has full control over their choices involving their health care, because it's the right thing to do.
Thank you very much. Selma?
I also am a fan of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She is one that promoted women's rights, but also women's rights in the workplace. Because when I started out my career, there were very few women in the dental field. In fact, my class had 10% women, and now it has changed into most schools having up to 50% women. And I do admire her when she says women should be independent and they should stand up and they should be heard. And so I find that very, very inspiring for myself and my sister and my daughter. So in terms of abortion, I am actually pro-choice, but on the conservative side. I believe that abortions should be allowed up to 20 weeks, that in case of rape or incest, they should of course be allowed. However, I am not for late-term abortions. I believe that right now a fetus can be helped medically all the way up to 21 weeks in the womb and afterwards, and so that doesn't give us much room. And so for babies to be allowed to be aborted all the way up to the date of birth, I find that very troubling. I'm also for parental notification if a young person who is not an adult should request an abortion. I do believe their parents should be notified. Also, because when you think about it, we are not allowed to give a child an aspirin or a Tylenol in school without parental notification or okay. And this is a surgical procedure. And so I believe that parental notification should be allowed and there should not be late-term abortions. I also believe that if a fetus is aborted and it does survive, and that medical help should be allowed to help that person, that baby, to survive. And there are other options other than abortion. I think that those need to be discussed with women that are, or girls that are pregnant.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Could you please state your opinion regarding the Black Lives Matter movement and the group known as QAnon? And let's start with Selma.
I understand that the QAnon is a theory of that there are some people that are in a conspiracy to abuse children. I have not a part of that. I have not heard of that, and I find that something that had come up during somebody else's campaign, but I am not a part of that. In terms of Black Lives Matter, I think what we are dealing with is the Black community is feeling that they do not have a seat at the table. They are not treated as people always. They are looked upon. People look at them and they stereotype who they are and what they are. I always find it very interesting that we have a lot of athletes that are of the Black culture and African Americans, and they are respected for their athletic ability, but outside of that, they are not looked upon as equals in our community, and I find that very troubling because I am a person of color, and I have been discriminated against, and I have had people look at me a certain way. In fact, when I came here to Oregon, I felt like I was looked through. I did not exist. And so when I went to the DMV and I saw that there was Spanish on the door, I felt that somebody has gone before me and made it okay to be in Oregon. But I feel that it's very important that we work in our communities and in our society, that we make sure that everyone has economic opportunity, that they have educational opportunity, and that they are treated as a person, and they are given the respect that the rest of us expect and hope that we are giving to others. So I feel like this is a moment where we can make some changes and really embrace everyone that lives here in Oregon and in all the other cultures in the world, so that people are treated as people and that they can have the opportunities and the joys of living here in the United States that the rest of us do, because they are feeling very, very much left out of the picture, that they do not have a seat at the table. And I think it's important that we invite them and also treat them as equals.
Thank you very much. Paul, would you comment on that?
Thank you. I want to set the table on a couple of things. I think the Black Lives Matter QAnon question is rather interesting. First, Black Lives Matter is a legitimate advocacy group, quite frankly, that is trying to do nothing more or less than raise awareness about 300 plus years of structural racism, and God bless them. In America today, it takes a lot to be able to push through the social network reality that all of us live in, and I happen to believe that Black Lives Matter is serving a very vital function in raising awareness about historical racism and keeping, quite frankly, the light on an issue that can all too often be forgotten. As somebody who has been in 2 special sessions working on different measures to try and address some of the concerns brought forward by the Black Lives Matter most recently, I believe that I am uniquely positioned to be able to move forward and facilitate real progress. Here's why. I have the support of many of the advocacy groups surrounding the Black Lives Matter movement, as well as the chiefs of police, the sheriffs, and the Oregon police officers and the Oregon State Police Officers Association. I say that because, as somebody who has spent his entire adult life working to try to bring people together to find resolution to legitimate problems, it isn't enough to say that it must be done. You have to actually have the experience to be able to make real progress and a will to get progress done. I have done some. We will continue and work on it more. I also want to recognize this idea of QAnon. It is a conspiracy-based group that is, much like Antifa, an ideology and, quite frankly, a nuisance that pollutes the political public square. Unlike Antifa, however, QAnon is fed by almost a state media. And many of the conspiracy theories are not just about people, but about actions. I think both of those types of groups do nothing but cause more problems than good. I am committed to ensuring that facts, not alternative facts, not conspiracy-based facts, but facts inform our decision-making, and I have a record of doing just that.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now for something totally different. What would you do to promote economic development, particularly tourism, in Polk County? And we'll start with Paul.
Really appreciate that question. I actually have spent the last 6 years doing just that in the Oregon legislature. Over the last 6 years, we have worked to ensure the following. Number one, that the seismic upgrade of the Center Street Bridge is a done deal. It hasn't been accomplished yet, but the funding for a full rehabilitation of that bridge, which is critical to get people into and out of the city of Salem and around the county, is on the way. We have pushed millions of dollars into Western Oregon University, which is, quite frankly, the largest employer, at least in this part of the county. And we have assisted with a lot of the supports for the building rehabilitation as well as new buildings. We have, in fact, pushed a number of projects that are supporting the Independence Downtown Renaissance, having to do with the Independence Landing project. We have fought for the Mike McLaren Center. We have fought for funds for the court care program. And more specifically, in my role as a member of the Business and Labor Committee, as well as the Subcommittee on Transportation and Economic Development, we have supported Oregon Rural Initiative grants. We have supported efforts to assist business owners during this COVID emergency in ways that had never been attempted before. I believe economic development is the way we're going to get out of this long-term recession that we find ourselves in because of the contagion and the changing nature of the 21st century, and I want to continue the work. Thank you for the opportunity to do so.
Thank you very much. Selma.
You know, the area that we live in Polk County and a little bit in West Salem and South Salem is a beautiful area. And I'm always amazed that when I drive through, it's like, wow, this is beautiful. Is it real? It's so beautiful. And I do believe that we can promote that and really have increased tourism, which will bring some economic activity to the area. One thing that I was told, that the children say, there's not a lot to do there. And so when families come through and there is activities for the kids, then that would be very, it would bring people in. And so the kids say, hey, I don't know what I can do here. And so one thing, we have a beautiful river, and it's much better than it was before. And so when you have the river, we aren't taking advantage of that. One of the things that other rivers have are water sports that people can do. For example, kayaking down. I go down to the amphitheater area in Independence, and I don't see anything where people can get out on the water and enjoy it. Also, we have a bike path along 99. It's okay. It could be more attractive, and I think it could be more inviting. So I think we need to also enhance that. The other thing is, this area is an agricultural area, and it is, people are really interested in farm to table items. So I'd like to see more restaurants that would really expand on that and offer the offerings that our area offers so people can enjoy that. So that'd be something for the grown-ups. The other thing is, I would like to see some of the wineries improve, and so that their facilities are very welcoming. And not that long ago, even the wineries up in the McMinnville-Yamhill area weren't as nice as they are now. And so when that is improved, I think those things will bring in people. We need to do something that would bring in people of all ages, so that that more would be, people can enjoy it and really be in areas such as they talk about the wine area, but it'd be nice if they could also talk about the Polk County area. Because when I drive across that bridge, it is so beautiful. I am amazed at the beauty, and that can we take advantage of it. So Oregon is blessed to have these beautiful places, and we need to tell the world about it so that everyone can come and enjoy it and marvel at our beautiful area.
Well, thank you very much, and thank both of you for being here at the forum, and we look forward to seeing what happens when the voters vote. So we're going to take a 1-minute break, and then we're going to return and have the candidates for the Polk County Commission.
Thank you.
Hello, and welcome back. This is the Polk County and Monmouth Independence Local Candidates Forum, and we're now moving to the third part of it, where we're going to have a discussion with the two candidates for the Polk County Commission. And the basic process will be that they each will have about 30 seconds to introduce themselves and why they're running for office, and then we'll go to questions. Each person will have 2 minutes to answer the questions, and we will keep it moving along, I can tell you. Okay, well, first let me welcome you and thank you for being here. And why don't we start off with you introducing yourselves, and we'll start out with the incumbent, Lyle Mordhorst, please.
Everyone, thank you for today's program. I think this is amazing to be able to reach out and talk to some of the public that I haven't got to meet yet. So I'm Lyle Mordhorst, I'm your Polk County Commissioner. I was appointed January 2019. I've been a part of Polk County for the past 22 years, very involved on a local basis. I'm driven for schools and our kids and our youth, and just trying to make Polk County a place that you're more proud to say I live here, and a better place for our families. And thank you.
Okay, thank you. Danny Jaffer, please.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me. I am Danny Jaffer. I grew up here, went to school here. I left from here, my home, to join the Navy several years ago, and returned. I currently serve as the president of Lucky Mute Domestic Water Cooperative right here in Polk County. I've been affiliated with the Ella Current Food Bank, Mid-Valley YMCA, Central Lions Club, Polk County Tourism Workshop, among others. I believe in service. That's how I was raised. Service to community, to family, to country. I've spent most of my life in service of one form or another, and I choose to keep serving now in these trying times. Asking for your support. Promise I'll do my absolute best. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. So, we'll go to questions. What do you believe your role as a county commissioner should be, and why are you best suited to fill that responsibility? And we're going to start with Danny first.
Thanks for the question. I think the role of the county commissioner is primarily to oversee the things that are happening within the county and the county government. Keep track of all of the various departments and organizations that fall under the purview of the county government. Also to ensure that money is that the county receives through taxes and through pass-throughs from the state and the federal government are spent correctly and wisely and efficiently, and to do the best that we can for the citizens of Polk County. I also believe that we're here to help facilitate the things that other people would like to get done within the county, whether it's the communities or local businesses, the schools. I think that the county government kind of overarches that to help facilitate those sorts of things and encourage those conversations. I've spent a lifetime in service. I've got a degree from Oregon State University. I also have a law degree from University of Oregon. I spent a lot of times with budgets, my time in the Navy. I've served in crisis situations throughout the world, and I think that I'm pretty well suited to work with the county and be a good and attentive county commissioner.
Thank you very much. Lyle.
Could you repeat the question for me, please?
Sure. What do you believe your role is as county commissioner, and where are you best suited to fill that responsibility?
Being a county commissioner is bringing people together. One of my biggest challenges when I was appointed was I wanted to bring Polk County as one. West Salem is separated. It's kind of like a different world almost in Polk County. A lot of people in West Salem believe they're in part of Marion County because they live in Salem. I want to bring West Salem to Polk County, but yet at the same time I want to bring Polk County to West Salem. Independence in Monmouth has done a very good job in Dallas of integrating with the Itemized Observer and promoting both communities within each other. We have Falls City, Willamina, and we have this huge population in West Salem, yet they weren't really getting represented. I want to be that voice. but I want to be the voice of all of us. And today I had a meeting where I brought all of the communities together with the business associations and their chambers, trying to find ways that we can collaborate to promote all of our businesses on Main Street. So if something's happening in Independence on the waterfront, let's let the people know about that. I'm aware that COVID is going on and we want to keep our events smaller, but at the same time, we need to find ways to get our businesses moving. Also, as we're traveling throughout this county, going from community, and each community in Polk County has its own unique atmosphere and highlights that we all need to be experiencing. But 88,000 people living here, we need to support one another. And as we travel, the roads and stuff here has always been one of my top priorities. Is I want to make sure that we can get our families to and from work and school and activities safely. And I've been working very hard with ODOT through the relationships I created working for West Schwab Tires. It opened a lot of doors for me. So when I got this position, I always had a lot of credibility, and it was easy. I believe in creating teams to be effective, because more minds are more effective than one. Always, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next question. What do you see as the two biggest issues facing our county? And we'll start with Lyle this time.
Well, I just kind of touched on it. Number one is transportation. For us to attract industries or even jobs, we've got to find direct avenues and open traffic lanes to get our products from Polk County to the I-5 corridor. We need, right now, we have better communities. We got to find better ways to allow our communities to be safer. We're working on, I'm particularly right now working on 5 different major intersections. The 2251 is the foremost up front. 36,000 cars a day go through there. You can see the growth in Dallas and Independence and Monmouth are having, and the amount of people traveling back and forth to work. That 22 core keeps getting smaller and smaller, it seems like every day. We're working right now, and we're very close to coming up with the preliminary drawing. Further east, Highway 22 in Perrydale and the Kings Valley Junction area. We just had another major accident there yesterday morning. The accidents and death rates that we have in Polk County are some of the worst in the state. And I'm working very hard with ODOT to get that out. Second is our economy. See, our local businesses and Main Streets thriving, not surviving. That is the utmost. Keep these stores open. These businesses are the heart and soul of our communities. They pay for our Little League teams and sponsor our schools and all of our nonprofits. And that's very critical, and that's where my heart lies.
Thank you very much. Danny, what do you have to say?
Well, I think primarily, we're in a very unique situation, very trying situation with the COVID virus and how that's going to affect us and how that affects our economic viability going forward. So I think that's a big factor and something that we need to make sure we're addressing well with our public health institutions and our ability to address the situation through communication. So I think that things like broadband internet capability throughout the county that helps education and medical situations is a key factor that needs to be dealt with. I can't stress enough that it's really difficult to keep or to get economy moving forward without dealing with something that has been dragging down our economy, which is the COVID virus. And so that's a primary focus that I think we need to work on. And then I would concur with Lyle on the issue of traffic safety. I think that's been a big issue in Polk County for many, many years. And I think that we need to make the roadways safer. And even if that means slowing some of them down, we should do that because, as Lyle noted, we had another serious accident out on Perrydale and 22. And some of those places, the sight lines and what have you are not good. So I also think that with that comes the ability to move things that are something other than motorized vehicles, whether that's bicycles or whether we're utilizing transportation to reduce the number of vehicles out there on the roadways, which would also make it safer and help move things more efficiently.
Okay, thank you very much. So, next question. Knowing there is significant cultural and political division in our country and in our region right now, what do you suggest we do at the county level to reduce our polarization? And we'll start with Danny.
Well, first thing we have to do is invite people in. We need to let people know they're welcome. We need to let them know that they have a voice at the table. I think that I can help facilitate that. I'm a first-generation son of an immigrant. My father's from India. I never felt like I was being pushed aside, but that's because the people that I was around always were very welcoming, and whether that was in school or in the military or even in local governments, we've had some very good folks who have worked very hard to make sure that people who are often not given the dignity they require or they deserve are afforded something like that. Now, that's not to say that it's perfect, and that's not to say that we don't have a long way to go. What I'm trying to say is that we need to make sure that we're welcoming and that we understand that there are differences, and we understand that there's value and progress in diversity and accepting that diversity and promoting that diversity. We have a great county here that has many different ethnicities, and I think that that alone would go a long way. Accepting that and working towards promoting that would go a long way to providing that dignity that is required, which then reduces that level of division and divisiveness that is sadly infecting much of what we do right now.
Okay, thank you very much. Lyle, would you care to comment?
One of the biggest things I've always learned was a lot of times issues like this come up because of lack of communication. Being able to sit down and talk and listen and understand and take in all the viewpoints and find out, build a team, how do we tie everything back together? So many times they build an upper level, which they don't experience what the people that are complaining are actually feeling. You need everybody at that table. I'm a firm believer in listening first, getting people together, and then coming up with ideas. I love the fact that you teach everybody about attitude and effort. Starting our schools, having things for people to understand how to put on an interview. It teaches you so much about yourself, and how to dress, how to present yourself. Give it more of a fair playing field and that inclusiveness, so we all know that we're all having the same struggles. They may be different, and at times they always are, but life throws things at us all the time. But the biggest thing that changes life is the people you have around you, and that's where you got to keep your focus on is having an outlet you can go to talk and be heard. And I pride myself on that. I have for years. I don't see things other than the smile, and you can see somebody's heart when they come up and say, hey, I'm so-and-so. You can see that they're happy, and that's what I hope everybody can feel someday.
Now we have some questions that kind of get into the nitty-gritty of things that have been already mentioned. Question: what sort of improvements would you work for within the county in terms of internet access? And Lyle, could you go first, please?
Absolutely. So I'm really excited. We had a great article in the IO on this. When we got the CARES Act fund money, and the kids found out they had to go to school online, over 50% of rural Polk County had no internet or very inadequate internet. So that means all of these kids are going to go to school at home, but they can't even get so there. Now, mom drives them into a hotspot and they sit in the front seat of the car to do their homework. Polk County has invested $1 million into expanding the internet over the last 7 to 8 years, and I've been involved for the last 2. We've mapped the weak spots of Polk County where there was no service or very little, and we've given that to all of our private providers. And we signed a contract with one current one that is expanding right now. I hope to have it done by the end of the year to take care of that youth. Like I said, I've been a huge advocate for education and schools. When the kids have nothing to do, what better place for them to hang out with than the school with their teachers and their counselors and extracurricular activities. We lost some of that, but now we need to make sure that we eliminate the isolation that so many are feeling because they have no access. And we're working on that, and I'm very proud of that. And by the end of this year, hopefully, we'll have over 90% coverage, and hopefully 95% coverage in Polk County.
Okay. Thank you very much. Danny, would you comment on that, please?
Yes, that's something I've been talking about for 10 years is getting broadband internet capability throughout the county. I think that you've got a very good model in Monmouth Independence Network, MyNet, and as they've pushed into West Valley Fiber and helping out over in Dallas, I'd like to see fiber optics throughout the county, and I realize that in some cases that's not going to be possible, but the flip side of that is that in some places the telemetry is not available for broadcast internet. So, you have some trade-offs, you have some things you need to do, but we should never stop trying. And I think it's great. We're looking at, 90-95% coverage. Man, that is fantastic when you think about where we were 10 years ago. Okay, so what do we do to get that last 10 or 5 or 10%? And what is the best thing to do? And the other thing is we can't ever stop wanting to improve it. We can't get to the point where we say, oh, well, now we've got it. We don't need to do anything else. We have to keep improving it. We need to keep investing in it, and it will pay dividends. It is, this is not my term, but it is the wave of the future, and it is the way we do education now. It is the way we do business now. It is the way we do marketing now. It is the way we do medicine now. And the better capability we have, the more attractive we are for all of the different things that make this county run. So I'm deeply in favor of it. I know recently, along with the CARES Act, but even before that, there was $600 million available from the federal government for these sorts of plans. We got to keep pushing on that, and eventually we'll get that 100%.
Okay. Thank you very much. In kind of a similar kind of question, what specific changes to the transportation system or sector, including roads and highways, do you think are needed for this county? And we'll start with Danny, please.
Number one, safety is a primary concern, and I like the idea of safety for vehicles other than automobiles. If you're on Monmouth Cutoff now, there's a shoulder that's about as wide as the white stripe. There was a time when that shoulder was wider for different reasons. That got narrowed, but I have actually seen kids on skateboards making their way from Monmouth to Dallas on that roadway. There's no sidewalk, there's no bike path. So I'd like to see us really push hard to incorporate alternative transportation into our traffic and safety plan so that people who don't have automobiles but would like to go places in this county can do that and be safe. And it's not just safety is the number one issue there, but there's also an economic issue involved as well. And that is getting folks out to see this county, the beauty of it, folks from the county, but also folks from outside the county. I had a vineyard owner tell me that bicyclists are great, particularly when they're coming from other places, because they ride in and they go to the tasting room and they'll put down their credit card and ask for a case of wine to be sent someplace. And he said, these are people who are riding bicycles that cost more than my car. So, there's that economic aspect to it as well. But primarily the safety issue and getting those alternative forms of transportation involved and dedicated would be a great thing for this county for many, many reasons.
Okay, thank you very much. Lyle, would you care to comment on that?
Thank you. I am actively working with ODOT, trying to address these issues, because the last thing I want is somebody to get a phone call that your daughter or your wife or your mom or your grandpa was killed in an accident on a corner or an intersection in Polk County that we've been trying to get addressed for years. We've been able to get them off the shelves and moving. We've got a great relationship. That's 2251 we talked about, Cloud Corner, 99W, 22 in Perrydale, 99W in Bethel Road. Those are all critical ones. We're currently working now on Oregon 18 and Fort Hill Road out at the casino. So those are intersections that are very busy. 840 cars an hour go through Perrydale intersection in 22 in the morning and evenings during rush hour time. But also on that, I like the idea of the alternative transportation. We see a huge need of Fall City. So we addressed Chariot to see if they could run a bus ride out there 1 or 2 days a week. It wasn't in the realm. Polk County, we bought a bus and we started Fall City Connect. So 2 days a week or 3 days a week, we run out to Fall City and back into Dallas. And that was twice. And 1 day a week, we went to Fall City and went to Independence. So mom and the kids with single car families can get to the doctors or to the drugstore or to a grocery store that's much more affordable so they can stretch those monthly budgets in buying their food. And promoting that kind of thinking, and Polk County's got a great team. They're always trying to think of ways outside the box to make Polk County a better place to live. And that's what we're all after, and that's the bottom line. That's kind of all I got. I've already spoken about traffic enough, so.
Another question, do you view climate change as a challenge for Polk County? If so, what specific actions would you like to take in response? If not, why not? And can we start with you, Lyle, please?
So I believe climate change is something that we've got to look at. I also believe it's something that we need to address. I don't think we need to go as far as the cap and trade was pushing last summer. That would have been devastating to our community and our economic stability with the farmers and the waters and even the vineyards. Nobody really understood just how severe that would be to all of the diesel pickups and one-ton trucks that our contractors and workers use, and to make them useless in that time. I do believe we need to be pushing that way. I like to see more tax incentives for electric cars, reduce that use of fossil fuel. I think the electric car for commuters is fantastic, and I'm looking for one in the next couple of years if I'm blessed to keep this job, just for running back and forth and be able to drive past the gas station, not have to stop and give them the $60 every week to get back and forth. Bicycle routes. Bicycle is becoming more and more prevalent. It's still a small part. We have a lot of hills, but our commuters can't go on a bicycle. So I want to make sure that those roadways are open and we relieve congestion. We keep our cars moving. That's less fossil fuel and less carbon footprint.
Okay. Thank you very much. Danny?
I do believe that, sorry, that was my dog. A car went by and decided to bark. I do believe that climate change and the warming of the planet is an issue, and it's something that we have to deal with, and it's something that we can't ignore. I fully agree with the idea of reducing our dependence on fossil fuels. I know that we're not going to wean ourselves off of it in a year or 2 years or 5 years, but we do need to work that direction. And part of that is, as Lyle said, making sure that our transportation system is set up to provide for alternative types of transportation. I won't regurgitate all of that, but one thing that I think would make a lot of sense would be charging stations. Maybe the county can get funds, grant funds. Maybe we can lean on some manufacturers to provide charging stations throughout the county. That might, and not just for automobiles or for cars, but also for electric bicycles and things like that. So, all these different types of transportation that wean us off of fossil fuel, I think is a great idea, and I think the county should work with that. But that's only part of it. The other part of it is making sure that we're kind of cooling down our county. We've gone through 2 of the hottest years in the last 150 years that they've been keeping records, or 120 years they've been keeping records. And we really need to look at ways we can reduce that temperature change, and part of that is returning some of our spaces to green spaces, providing those habitats that keep the ground cool, that hold the water in the ground, and whether we're planting urban forests or looking at ways to change our agricultural practices so that we do less work on the ground so that we can preserve the native and natural habitats that help keep the local area as well as the planet cool. And I think that all of those things working together come from acceptance of the issue. And once we've accepted that and admitted there's a problem, we can work toward the solutions.
Well, we want to thank you both very much. That was very interesting and enlightening, I think.
Thank you.
And we look forward to seeing what the voters decide, don't we? Thank you very much. We are now going to take a 1-minute break, and we'll start again by looking at the independent city candidates. Welcome. So we've now entered the fourth portion of our local candidates debate, and we're going to be interviewing and having responses from those candidates from the City of Independence. I'm Mark Henkels, and I'll be giving each of you 30 seconds to introduce yourselves, and then we will have some questions. With the questions, you'll have 2 minutes to answer them, and then I might have to get tough and tell you time, okay? I've had to do that a few times today. But before we do that, we are going to read a statement from one person who couldn't make it, because that was part of the agreement, is if a person couldn't make it, we would allow them to submit a statement for me to read so they could present who they are. And David Ramcharan can't make it tonight. He's a candidate for the council, and here's what he had to say. I am a first-generation immigrant from the islands of Trinidad and Tobago. My family sacrificed and persevered through many things to afford me the opportunities of a better life here in the United States, for which I am grateful for. Today, I am a healthcare provider and fosters an individual independence through the lens of occupational rehabilitation. I am also a small business owner of a local cafe. I believe both careers have strengthened my qualities of compassion, empathy, and patience. It has taught me the importance of empowering others through a person-centered approach. These are qualities and skills I will bring in representing the City of Independence. I am running for City Council to inspire community unity and pioneer healthy change and reassure confidence by our local government. Confidence in our local government. I would like to find ways to develop partnerships with the private sector, and will seek to improve on the methods to facilitate a reduction in wasteful spending. Finally, we need to support small business growth and sustainability. If it were not for entrepreneurs and small businesses, our historic downtown would not have seen the revitalization it has experienced in the last 5 years. This success was created by the joint effort of many startup businesses and building owners. As a government, we can learn a lot by this type of collaboration. We need to nurture more of this because it creates opportunities for partnerships to expand, restore, and develop community programs, infrastructure, and schools. So that is a statement by David Ramcharan. Now, we're going to turn to the candidates who are present with us, and we're going to have the mayor candidates introduce themselves first, and then we will have the different council members or candidates for council introduce themselves. Let's start off with John McCardle, please.
Thank you. I'm John McCardle. My wife and I have lived in Independence for 28 years. We raised our son here, and from the beginning, we've volunteered in the community, both coaching the YMCA, 4th of July, Panther Club, church activities, food banking, now as mayor. Now as mayor, we took a community vision, developed a plan, and reached each and every goal. The result, a revitalized city. This is a team effort, and it didn't happen in every town. We work together, we ask for input, we listen, and we learn. I also represent Independence not just locally, but at the state capitol, on statewide committees, and with business leaders throughout the state. I want to continue to serve as mayor, to lead and be part of this team, to keep Independence on an award-winning, inclusive, and in a vibrant community. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much. Now, the competing candidate for the mayor's office, Jack Waddell.
Yeah, thank you for having this tonight. I really appreciate all the hard work everybody's put into it. I'm Jack Waddell. Most people have known me for quite a while. I've been married to my wife for 38 years, high school sweetheart. I married up, had 6 wonderful children. I have 10 grandchildren that I'm very, very proud of. I just love this community. I'm glad to be here, and I welcome this opportunity to try to voice what I want to say tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Now, candidate for council position number 3, Dawn Hedrick Roden.
Hi, I'm really glad to be here too. Thank you for having this. My family has been in the Independence community since the 1870s. We've lived here, served here, and I continue to live and serve here. I would like to make this community a better place so that my kids and other people's kids will want to continue to live here as well. In my 20s, I did leave and I joined the Navy, and I served in the Navy for 10 years, and I worked really hard with a lot of committees on the national level to bring diversity training and sexual assault awareness training. I worked with a lot of individuals to come together on diverse, difficult topics to accomplish some pretty hard stuff. I was honorably discharged and moved back to Independence because I love it here. I had a picture of the water tower when I was living on the East Coast, and I've always wanted to come back to Independence. I'm here. I got here and I had people come to me right away and say, we need help. We need help fixing this park in Independence. There's problems with it. There's drug activity. There's alcohol abuse happening. There's people getting hurt in the park. And they asked me to come fix it, come help and work on it. And I did. I took on that project, and it took me 18 months. And I'd like to tell you more about how great Pioneer Park is now. I also have worked on the Historic Commission for the last 10 years. I now co-chair it. And again, we have put in new codes that I feel are equitable all around. I feel that they will make Independence a really cute historical community, and I look forward to serving on the Independence City Council to improve this community even more.
Thank you very much. Also running for council position number 3, Michael Hicks, please.
Good afternoon. For those that don't know me, I'm Michael Hicks. A little bit about myself. I'm a proud father of 2 elementary-age children that both attend IES. My educational background are in the areas of law and philosophy. My work experience is pretty varied. I've done things like I taught children and adults English in China. I've taught college-level philosophy courses in Houston. I worked at the Oregon Legislature, and currently I'm working at the Oregon Health Authority in the area of human resources. I've had the pleasure of serving on the Independence City Council for the past 4 years. Originally, I ran on the issues of transparency and continuing the revitalization of our historic downtown. And with respect to those goals, I'm reasonably pleased with the progress we've made this last term. We've seen numerous wonderful restaurants open in downtown. We've seen the building and opening of the hotel. We're in the process of currently moving the museum downtown, which will not only make it more visible to the public, but it'll also put it in a location where they'll be able to participate in the numerous events that and festivals that occur in the park. Looking forward, recovery from COVID is going to need to remain our top priority for the city. Our residents and businesses are still struggling, and the city needs to be ready to step in and provide aid wherever possible. But despite the pandemic, Independence is continuing to grow, and it will be important for us to find ways to responsibly support that growth and maintain the quality of life, as well as community and diversity that make Independence such a unique and special place to live. It's been an honor serving on the council these past 4 years, and I look forward for the opportunity to continue.
Thank you very much. Now, a candidate for council position number 5, Sarah Job, please.
Hi, thank you for hosting this. My name is Sarah. I'm running for Independence City Council, seat number 5. I've lived in Independence for 9 years, and I've been in the area of Monmouth of Independence for 13, in Oregon for 40 years. I am a small business owner. I am for working families, affordable housing, and inclusion of all people in Independence. I am a wife, and I'm a mother of, I've been a mother for 23 years. My youngest is 14, so I'm still actively parenting. I worked in a domestic relations law firm for 18 years. I'm a licensed realtor and a small business owner. I've been a Monmouth Independence Chamber member for nearly 4 years. I've served as a notary public in Oregon for over 20 years and currently hold that. I'm on the board of directors for the Polk County Association of Realtors, as well as serving on the Community Service Committee. I'm running in Independence to make a difference for all who live in Independence, and I'm seeking to lower the outrageous city debt and bring balance and accountability to our city.
Thank you very much. Also running for council position number 5, Kelly McWilliams.
Hi, thanks for having us tonight. Like you said, my name is Kelly McWilliams, and I'm running for Independent City Council Seat 5 because I believe in working for my neighbors. I want to ensure that our local government is transparent and accessible and focused on making everyone's lives better. I'm concerned, though, that very frequently working parents are left out of these important conversations at the city level, and I'd like to draw attention to that. I'm also concerned about the ability of local businesses to keep going during and after COVID. I know that our attention individually as families and as a city is stretched paper thin, but I believe I have the skills necessary to help my neighbors through this troubling time as we move forward together.
Thank you very much. And running for council position number 6, we have Kathy Martin Willis. Kathy? Technical difficulties. Okay. So I think what we'll do is we will move on, and when we have Kathy reconnect with us effectively, then we will give her a chance, because she certainly should introduce herself. So let's move to the first question, and this question will go to the mayoral candidates as well as the council members. What do you believe your role is as a city council member or mayor? And we'll start with John this time, and we will be alternating who goes first. But John, what do you believe your role is as mayor?
My role as mayor is, besides leading the council and leading the meetings like that, is to be the voice, the face of the community, to help bring people together, to help make sure that folks provide input, that we bring all the people in the community together so that we can hear their voices. The mayor also serves in a role in representing the city of Independence at the Capitol, with our county representatives, and also with our federal representatives and senators. I also spend time working with local business people and business people from out of the area to let them know about the wonderful things that are going on in Independence and why they should be involved in our community. So there's both the role of in-house in the city hall, but there's also the role of representing, cheering, encouraging, and promoting our community, because those are important kinds of things, and not just for our city. Also, as past president of the League of Oregon Cities and the Oregon Mayors Associations, I've represented all of the cities in Oregon at the state capitol building, talking about the issues that are important to cities, the need to put in the proper investments, to let cities have the opportunity to make the decisions at the local level that need to be made, and not have the state mandate rules for us that don't work. So the role of the mayor is very viable, variety, and it's exciting. Thank you.
Okay. I think I'll have Jack respond to the question well, and then we're going to turn and allow Kathy a chance to introduce herself as we go into the council members, okay? So, Jack, could you respond to what your role is as a city council member, or I mean as a mayor, how you envision it, and then we're going to turn to Kathy to introduce herself. Okay, great. Actually, you're the representative of the people. And so the way I view it is that I'm an advocate for everybody, no matter what they're pursuing, no matter what their hopes are, their dreams, their business. I'm working for everybody. And I'm the type of guy, I'm around town on a regular basis. I'm involved in a lot of different activities. And I realize that, it's a difficult job, and I haven't been in the job. So, I realize that there's difficulties in times of where you can't make everybody happy. But I will say this, I will always be accessible. I will always be available. I don't care what your problem is. I don't care who you are.
I don't care where you're coming from. I want to be that guy who you know is going to listen to you and attempt to solve your problem. And that's how I see the role as mayor.
Thank you very much. And now we're going to hear from candidate for council position number 6, Kathy Martin-Will. I swear, you have some time to introduce yourself and why you want to be on the city council.
Great, thank you. So as I started to say, I've served on a variety of committees and commissions during the 27 years that my family and I have lived here in Independence. The knowledge that I gained during my service, particularly on the Budget Committee and Planning Commission, prepared me well for City Council. City finances are a very different animal for managing a household budget, and planning regulations take time to learn. Given my experience, not just in city government, but as a former chamber board member and past president, former small business owner, spouse of a veteran, and a mom that's raised my family here, I have a broad-based knowledge of our city, our community, and the visioning that has made Independence the charming, thriving community that we are today. My 11 years in youth services have also provided insight into the needs of the families in our community. I'm a firm believer that quality leadership is rooted in a desire to serve. I believe I've demonstrated that desire, and I seek the opportunity to continue my service to my neighbors. Thank you for having us this evening.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to return to the question we were at before, which is, what do you believe your role is as a city council member? And let's call on Dawn. Could you please address this first? Thank you.
Hi. Yeah, I agree with Jack. I think the role of us as city council members is to really listen to what people are saying they want addressed and the issues that concern them. You know, I'm a mom of 4 kids. I'm always around the baseball fields. I'm always around the football fields. And I hear people talk, and they feel taxed way too much. They feel that their water bill is out of control. They feel that the city's, they talk about the city budget, you know, the deficit in the city of Independence being close to $43 million. And they're really concerned, well, how is this going to impact our kids? How are we going to be able to pay for this? As a mom, I have to live within my means, and I have to spend within the budget I have. I can't just keep spending and spending and spending and try to figure out where this money is going to come from. We have to control our spending in the city of Independence. So as a counselor, I want to work with people who see this huge budget that we have, this huge deficit that we have to deal with. And, you know, all these little things, these little things that are being developed in the town, how are they benefiting the most people in the town? I hear also from parents that we don't have anything for kids, and this is really going to date me, but when I was a kid, we had a skating rink, we had a boxing club, we had places that kids could go and play, and we don't have anything. We don't need another marijuana shop. We don't need another bar. We need something for kids to have something to do. And I would like to just give a shout out to the Gate, because that is a real excellent example of how community and business can work together to build something outside of taxpayer dollars to enhance our community. And when I built Pioneer Park, I worked, a local family donated money. I worked and wrote so many grants that failed. But I worked and I finally got a grant, and we got a matching grant. We got the money for the park. I built the park. I got the community to come in and actually install the park, and it didn't cost the taxpayers a thing. Those are the types of things I'm going to do as a city councilor to make Independence better.
Thank you very much. Michael Hicks, would you like to address this question?
Sure. I look at the role of city councilor. First and foremost, it's a role where we lend our talents and expertise to help effectuate the changes the community wants to see. There's also the aspect that the realization that you are a representative of the city at all times, and you need to be an expert on many of the goings-ons. You want to be somebody that the residents feel comfortable approaching and talking with their issues. And if you have the expertise to answer their questions, that's great. Or to be able to deliver their concerns to the city employees themselves. I mean, for instance, we have lots of. I have heard many of the debt questions, but then you also have to look at what can we do in the city. Are we that concerned about the water bill that we're going to cut off internet for 80% of the city by letting Minet go bankrupt? There's a lot of changes that can be made, but you got to do it responsibly.
Okay. Thank you very much. Sarah. Sarah, would you like to comment on what the role of the city council is? Yeah.
I think the role of city council is to be the voice of the people of Independence. I would love to see a diverse city council with different opinions, different ideas, really speaking for the entire city, not just a specific group of people. But I think the city council is what leads the city in decisions for the city and spending and zoning and all sorts of things that the economics of Independence is at city council level to make those decisions. And I want to be a part of that. And I really do. We didn't expect COVID-19, and here it is. And unfortunately, that really hit us financially. A lot of businesses are suffering, and we need to be a voice for those people and those small businesses in this community.
Thank you very much. Kelly, would you like to comment on that?
I would, thanks. I see the role of a city councilor, as many have said already, as being someone who can receive feedback and listen to issues and provide creative solution making to those problems. It's also a lot of preparing for the future and being willing to take a look at what are the things we are going to need locally to stay competitive. MyNet is one of the things I think the city did well. I'm a MyNet customer. I have MyNet internet at my house, and I love being able to reach my customers and clients with broadband internet that consistently works. I think much of the debt that the city has undertaken has been with a focus on what we need as a community to move forward. And that is certainly something that we should be careful about, but it's also something that we should be pragmatic about as well.
Thank you very much. That gets us back to Kathy. Kathy, would you like to comment on how you view the role of a city councilor?
The role of a city councilor as one who just with folks in the community on a day-to-day basis, and additionally with other councilors. This isn't an independent role. We work as a team for the betterment of the city of Independence, of our community, of our neighbors, our friends, and of course to address the legitimate needs of the folks in our community. One of our responsibilities is to move forward with plans that we have in place. Traffic safety plan, parks and recs plans, our comprehensive plan for growth, and to revisit those frequently, in part to make sure that there's still on track with the goals that we as a council set together, and to make sure that they're in compliance with state regulations. We do live under, some regulation by the state of Oregon, particularly in planning for growth. We're required to have a 20-year plan for that. I think that we need to share in the visioning process. We've done a great job of incorporating our community in not just one, but 2 20-year plans. We finished up the 2020 visioning plan ahead of schedule and have done a really remarkable job in engaging the community through community forums and just one-on-one discussions, surveys, lots of outreach to our diverse communities to see what it is that they would like to see Independence become. So the role of City Council also is to sometimes make what are what can be unpopular decisions. A lot of times residents just don't understand decisions that council makes, and I believe it's my responsibility to provide context for the decisions that we do make.
Thank you.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we're going to have some questions for a question for the incumbents, and then we have a counter question that's going to go to people that would be new to the city government. And so the question for the incumbents is, what is in the pipeline for the city as major projects or initiatives, or what immediate actions are you planning to take when you take office again in the new term? Okay, and let's start with John McCardle, please.
What's in the pipeline for the city? The city has just completed a 2040 plan with more than 2,000 people participating. And included in that plan, which is going to be starting to have detailed conversation at the upcoming city council meetings, are issues about improving transportation. We need east-west transportation, another east-west way to get through town, because we need to deal with congestion. There's a transportation plan and a study going on right now being paid for by the state of Oregon so that we can look at what the best options are about. The next thing we need to do is increase the variety of housing that's available for disabled, for seniors, and for families. The growth that's going to happen in Independence is going to happen in the southern part. And so we need to have the correct mix so we can serve all the people there. We need to support and continue to help business grow, to help jobs grow, and to retain jobs. And that is an effort that has been recognized in our 2040. That's the comments that have been made. And we've been doing those kind of things even during the COVID environment, where we've been able to put some grant money through that we've gotten through the state and the feds to help local business move forward. We also need to take a look, and the Mayor of Monmouth and I have been meeting with the folks in the healthcare industry to increase healthcare access in our community. There's not enough healthcare. There are people who need health care. We need to have more folks providing health care here in our community. And finally, we're working with the Chariots folks to increase public transportation so folks can get from here to Salem and around and about. There's also been legislative money been allocated for exploring the use of a trolley, I think is what it's called, between Western Oregon, Monmouth, and Independence. Again, helping move people around. So those are some of the things that we're looking forward in the coming years.
Thank you very much. Michael, you're an incumbent. Tell us about what you see in the pipeline or immediate future.
Okay, we do have numerous developments already in the pipeline. For instance, the redesign of Old City Hall and Lot 7, hopefully the eventual building on Independence Station and getting rid of the old area there. We also need to, we're going to be focusing on expanding south. I think that's was something I was very excited about when I first got onto the council, is this idea of getting a bypass so Monmouth Avenue is not the only way downtown. We're going to be implementing our parks plan and finishing up the redesign of the parks. We also need to look at how we're going to plan and implement whatever comes out of our Vision 2040, whatever. So looking far down the line of what we're going to be needing there in the future.
Okay, thank you very much. Kathy, I believe you're the third incumbent in the group.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm going to start with inclusion. We need to continue our work in that direction. We are an inclusive city. Our outreach manager, Ramon, has made great inroads in this area. Our downtown managers facilitated cooperation with and among our local businesses and some other organizations. We have local business incubators and advisors such as SEDCOR and the Indie Idea Hub that have been working with the city to provide new and growing businesses with tools for success. As a city, we work to assist businesses, as the mayor mentioned, with grants to help them weather the storm. Secondly, and quickly, is managed growth. It will be the key to balancing community needs with the ability to manage our utilities. We need to continue to attract quality businesses and jobs that pay a living wage. We need to do this by showcasing our 1 gig capabilities through MyNet and the unique attributes that we offer, including livability, recreational opportunities, and our amazing and vibrant downtown.
Okay, thank you very much. So now we'll turn to the challengers for positions, and the question will be, what would be your first priority or your first projects? What would you like to see happen first? What kind of changes or things would you like to see go further ahead? And let's start out with Jack, please.
I think we've got an awesome city, and I think that the city does a really great job of helping people, and I think I would just like to add on an emphasis of how can we help people in a timely manner and be the most assistance that you can possibly be. And know that whenever you come into City Hall, we're there to help you. We're going to bend over backwards and do whatever we need to do to help you achieve your dream. And I think that I've spent a whole lifetime taking on the responsibility of achieving dreams that people want to achieve through building a house or a development. And it's a huge responsibility, and I take it very seriously. And I believe I can use those skills and use them in the position of mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. Don, would you like to comment on what your first action items would be?
Sure. I love how Independence has grown, but our infrastructure has not grown to keep up with it. We can't keep building houses and having people come to the community and live on infrastructure that's 10 years past date. We have to start building for the future. Our schools are at capacity. Our roads are in decline. We do need that west-east transport. We needed that years ago. We need to get on top of these projects before they overwhelm us, and right now we're overwhelmed. When I talk to people, they just cannot believe that it takes them 25 minutes to drive from Taylor's in downtown Independence to Burgerville. We should never have gotten to this point where we're going to be struggling now to get back up to where we should be. We can't keep planning for the past. We have to plan for the future. And if we're going to encourage all this growth in the South, then we have to start building up our town to be able to handle it. Because right now, our schools can't. And right now, our deficit can't. And right now, our streets can't. And so as long as the council keeps working on the past, we're not going to get ahead. One of the critical things I also have looked at, things I care about as a historic commission member, is how we're going to help the less advantaged in our community. And I've spoke with Jack Liddell, and he has great plans on how we can cut red tape and we can cut some of the regulations that we have to start giving people the power to improve our community themselves. Give the people the power to improve their own backyards, to improve their own homes, and to improve the construction, the affordability of their own homes, so that we can make the Independence affordable for the people who live here now. But if we don't start looking more into the future, then we're just going to have these same problems overwhelm us. We have to be more proactive.
Thank you very much. Sarah, what would be your most immediate priorities? Sarah?
Thank you. I would say my most immediate priority is inclusion and transparency with the people of Independence. I feel like very recently we've had some altercations. We have people in our community that don't feel safe. Public safety is a big issue. We need to address that. Everyone here should feel safe, and if they don't, we need to talk about that. I was a volunteer court-appointed special advocate at CASA for 2 years, and what I did is I worked with the judges, I worked with the attorneys and the parents and the foster, families and DHS, all working together to come up with the best solution for this foster child. And I think I would actually do really well in this position, being able to work with different people in different facets of this government and move to a great solution for the city of Independence.
Thank you very much. And Kelly, your thoughts on what should happen first?
So one of the things that got me interested in running for city council is a concern about transparency, specifically that things that should be public record and should be on the city website aren't necessarily there. I share concerns, however, about infrastructure, about kids having enough activities locally, and about the way that we approach working parents who are already stretched very thin and integrate them into what the city is doing and receiving their input. So I think I would start with modernizing the city newsletter and making sure that everyone has the ability to find the information they need in order to be engaged.
Okay, thank you very much. The next question. One thing that's very striking when I was trying to assemble this is there's a lot of active citizens in Independence and had a lot of questions. So I've tried to kind of group and consolidate, and I can't do justice to all the editorial statements that came with them. But here's a cluster of questions I would like you to address, please. And this will go to everybody. Do you believe that systematic racism exists in Monmouth Independence? What does it mean for the city of Independence to be an inclusive city? And what do you think of the city's efforts to integrate the Latino community into city affairs and happenings? And why don't we start with Jack, please?
That's not true. In my belief system, I believe that we're all from the same creator. We're really brothers and sisters, all of us. And I hope that if I should become mayor, that everybody would have the freedom to know that at any time I'm willing to listen to them. And if there is some sort of injustice or something that is bothering them, or they feel like they're being treated wrongly, I would like to address that right away. And I just want them to know that they could come talk to me and tell me that there's just maybe an unpeacefulness in their heart. They think somebody's against them. And really, honestly, in my life, I've been the underdog many times. And I kind of understand that feeling. And I would hope that I could do everything in my power to correct an injustice that's against anybody. And that's my hope. Thank you.
Thank you very much. John McCardle.
The United States has to deal with systemic racism. It exists. It exists in different forms and fashions throughout the country. Does it exist here in Independence? Unfortunately, there's probably some here too. But what does this mean? We are an inclusive city. We need to reach out and make sure that everybody has the opportunity to succeed, the opportunity to engage in our community, to be successful economically, to be able to do whatever they would like to do. And we need to set up systems. We need to be aware that those challenges exist, and we need to do whatever we can to help overcome systemic barriers that exist. Now, Independence has been an inclusive city for a long time. We've embraced it. We've embraced it to the point we've had a community engagement officer since 2014, whose specific task is to reach out and to specifically connect with our Latino members of our community to make sure they get information, to make sure that they are part of the community. We've done things in Independence that have really worked out. When we were hiring a new police chief, when we were going through the interview process, we actually took the police chief candidates and took them to different parts of the city. And we included St. Patrick's Church, so people came from the Latino community and were able to be there. They also were at the library and at other places in town. The other things that we've done is with like the Parks Master Plan, again, we outreached. We went out to make sure, and then 140 people went to the church after the Spanish Mass to be able to provide input on what our Parks Master Plan should have. So that's the kind of engagement. Can there be more? Absolutely. Will we continue to work on it? Yes. But Independence is an inclusive city. It's a place where people know that they are appreciated, they're respected, and together we're moving forward to make Independence an even better community.
Thank you very much. Michael, would you like to respond to that question, please?
Yeah, definitely. Systemic racism, it's a problem everywhere. And I'm sure it is a problem in Independence as well. However, sometimes I feel it gets framed in I don't know how good of faith people argue in, whereas you have this idea that equal treatment of all people in the eyes of the law is somehow incongruent with supporting the police. I don't think that that's an issue at all. I do think that our policing, the community-based policing approach that Chief Mason has implemented in here is a very important way in addressing these. You know, our officers are members of the community. You'll see them when they're not on duty, just out and about. And let's see. But we also have an issue where the council does keep an eye on the police through transparency, in which we receive quarterly reports on how many arrests are made and by who and what. So if these sorts of systemic inequities appear, they would probably appear in those reports, and we would be able to see them amongst on the council here and be able to address them accordingly.
Okay, thank you very much. And how about Sarah? Would you like to comment on inclusiveness and systematic racism and what Independence is doing about it? Sarah? Well, we'll come back to Sarah. How about Kelly? Would you like to comment on that question?
Sure. So I think that we've done a pretty good job of addressing or starting to address systemic racism. We have a community engagement manager, Ramon Martinez, who is doing some excellent work with outreach and trying to break down some of those barriers that people in our community experience. I do want to say, though, emphatically that Black Lives Matter. And I have Black neighbors in my community or right next door to my house, and I know that they have experienced racism here in Independence. So it absolutely is a problem that we're experiencing. It's something that we have an eye on as a community, and it's something that we absolutely must continue to address.
Okay, thank you very much. Sarah, are you connected with us now? Would you like to comment on the question? Okay.
No, that's great. My battery was dying. I had to plug it in. So I absolutely believe that there are a lot of people in our community that are suffering and that are hurting. And as a community, we need to come around these people and really recognize what it is, how can we help. I support Black Lives. I support minorities. I do not support Black Lives Matter, the organization. I support local law enforcement, and law enforcement, I believe police brutality is an issue that needs to be addressed. Those people need to be held accountable. I feel very strongly about that. And anyone involved or anyone that knows of anything, happening within the law enforcement community should speak up. Luckily, we live in Independence, Oregon, and we have an excellent law enforcement community here. And I've already started these conversations in our community, had a lot of luck, just talking about different opinions and where the middle ground is. And surprisingly, I found that when I'm reaching out to people of all different degrees, left, right, middle, all over the place politically, and realizing we all have so much in common, and really bridging those gaps is what we need to do here in Independence. Not more division. We need to come together as a community, and we're much stronger when we are together. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Kathy, would you like to comment on that?
As a nation, we have to face it. As a community, I guess the same holds true. As far as the definition of inclusive, it's about equity and not so much equality. It is not necessarily giving everyone the same thing, but giving everyone what they need to succeed in our community, in our area, in their business, in education. There are a lot of folks that would like to bring some problems from other places to our small town. And I just want to be really crystal clear that, yes, I support Black Lives Matter, and yes, I support our local police. By a unanimous vote, we actually increased our police budget to better equip them with updated body cams, dash cams, and additional triggers for those devices, so that if the rifle is unlocked from the dash, those cameras are activated. Lights and sirens activate those devices as well. A taser being pulled or a gun being unholstered all activate cameras to monitor their interactions with our community. Provides protection not only for our officers, but for members in our community with evidence. People ask, well, why don't you leave them on all the time? Because memory and battery capacity simply won't allow for that. I want to applaud our police department. We're one of the few accredited police departments in Oregon. Our policies and procedures are regularly updated as new policies for best practices come out. I want to applaud them. I want to applaud our community for making efforts to include all of our residents, regardless of their immigration status. They are members of our community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And that leaves us to Dawn.
Hi, I just want every member of the community to feel welcome. I want people to love who they want to love. I want them to live here if they want to live here, and I want them to feel that they are welcome to be wherever they can be in this community. This is a public space. Everybody has rights to be here, and they should feel safe when they're in this community. I try to live my life, and what I've told to people as I've walked through this campaign is that I don't have the same experiences that everybody else has. I just can't put myself in everybody's shoes, but I promise that I will listen when someone comes to me and explains to me what they're going through and how they're feeling, and I will do my best to try to help them. Maya Angelou once said, you do the best you can until you know better, and then when you know better, you do better. And that's how I try to live my life, is I try to do better, I try to accommodate people, and if I mess up or if I don't see something, that's when I want to be able to listen and hear what people are going through. If you're struggling, if you feel that you're being persecuted for anything, then you need to be able to speak up, and you should feel safe to be able to come to me or any other member of the council or our wonderful police department and talk about it, because you should feel safe and included in this community, and Black people matter. Simple, plain Plain and simple. Everybody that comes to this community should feel safe, and if we have failed them in any way where they don't feel safe, then we need to fix it. Because I have grown up in this community, I have lived with Latinos, I have lived in a Latino's home when I was younger. I feel like I have friends in this community that if they're suffering, and I know people have suffered, that they can talk to me about it, and I would do my best to address the situation and make the changes to make our community better, because hate does not belong in Independence.
Thank you very much. So we have 7 minutes left. What I would like for people to do is tell the audience what you think they should have in their mind as they vote for members of the city government. Keep it to 1 or 2 sentences because we want everyone to get their shot at it. And why don't we start with John McCardle?
Thank you. First of all, I appreciate the opportunity that we've had to share our opinions and information with the community. What I think people should be thinking about when they're looking at who to vote for mayor, they need to look at what the experience is, especially during these difficult times. This is some of the most difficult times our city, our state, our country have ever gone through. You want somebody with experience. You want somebody who knows what's going on. You want somebody who can help move things forward. You also want somebody who has a proven track record of success. Not just talk, not just ideas, but a proven track record of success, of great projects, of inclusion, of awards that this city has won for doing great things. We are the place that cities all through the state and around the western region of the United States look to as an example for a successful small town. Independence is doing great things, and I think that people should take a look at that and help us continue moving forward in the way that we are. Thanks so much.
Thank you. And Jack, would you like to make your closing statement?
Yes, thank you. I would just like to say I'm looking forward to speaking to a lot of members in our community. We have so many incredible people. As you can see with the counselors here tonight, there's so many wise people here and so many resources where we can gather all our knowledge and information and do great things. And I thank Mayor McCardle for the job he's done and the service he's worked for all these years. And I look forward to being the best mayor I can be should I be elected.
Thank you very much. Kelly, what should voters be thinking about?
I'd like to see voters think about where they'd like to see Independence 10 years from now, because the people we elect to city council now are making decisions that are going to impact us and our children and our children's children, and we should be thinking about what we need to stay competitive, what we need to have high quality of life, what we need to have a beautiful city, and what we need to have an inclusive environment. I believe that Independence is the best city in Oregon to live, work, and play in, and I am absolutely dedicated to making sure that that stays true.
Thank you very much. Kathy, your thoughts?
So coming from a military family, we bounce around an awful lot. Independence is the first place that I ever had the opportunity and the desire to put down roots. And Independence got a hold of me, and I stayed. I want to say that as a council in the last 4 years, we've increased transparency of operations, accessibility to local government, and community involvement. We broadcast our meetings before COVID was a thing. We need officials with demonstrated skills who will continue to lead us in these difficult times with experience, head, and heart. Thank you for everybody's time this evening.
Thank you very much. Dawn.
I think it's time for a change in Independence. I think it is time to stop the overburden of taxes. We need to look at the debt. We need to look at really poor business practices with some river plots that have been sold below market value. We have to start looking at if we're going to move the museum, are we really going to move the museum to a building that costs $425,000, still needs to be renovated, and has no parking? I think we need to start looking at those types of issues. And if we're going to look at bringing independence into the future, then we need a change in city council. We need a change in leadership. We need people who really see where this community is going and have the desire to get us there. I have the desire for that change. I think I can give that change. I love how Jack Liddell has some great ideas. He's a businessman. He can bring these ideas into fruition. He can help develop the downtown, because if you walk downtown, there's too many boarded up buildings and there's too many turnovers of the buildings down there. We need to be able to fix things. And if we're going to spend millions and millions of dollars on a new civic center, the taxpayers should have voted for it. We need to start giving power to the people to have more transparency in what they do and how we're spending their money. If we're going to spend their money, they should be voting on it, especially when it's something so extreme cost-wise for our city. We need to start doing those things, and it hasn't happened in the council so far. We just keep spending and spending and spending, and we need to stop doing that. That's my concern. I ask that people vote for a new council.
Thank you. Michael.
Yeah. Independence is the small town that other small towns look towards as an example. If you like what you've seen in terms of inclusion, of development, and celebrating our historic downtown, then you know who has the experience and desire to keep moving things forward. This idea of austerity, I don't know how that would go. The Civic Center is already built, but whatever you think about the debt, we're not just going to board it up and sell it piecemeal. But you also have to wonder about, could we have lured the hotel here if we were still in the old city hall? Say, hey, go talk to my economic development guy. He's in the renovated prison cell that's being used as an office now. We need to make responsible decisions. Errors have been made in the past, namely Independence Station, but we've been learning from those things and we're moving forward, and we need to continue to do so. I would hate to think what would happen if we put the brakes on our progress.
Okay, and that brings us to our final comment. Sarah.
Yes. So my husband was born and raised in Monmouth, and I will say we didn't get very far. I would appreciate your vote because I want to move the city in the right direction. I'm interested in hearing from everyone, and really, like I said, I've already started doing those conversations, and it is amazing what people will share with you and their ideas. I think the citizens of Independence have a lot of ideas, a lot of good ideas for continuing the all-inclusive city. I think it's great. So many people commented that are currently on city council that this is a very inclusive city, and I think that is excellent, and I'd love to continue that. But we do have some division going on, and I would love to bridge that gap and bring everybody to the table. We all sit and talk and get out your ideas and see, we are not the same. None of us on this Zoom call today are the same. And I think just showing, the differences in everybody, bringing us all together and helping make Independence the best that it can be.
Thank you very much. Well, we all want to see that. And the way things get better is by having people participate, go and vote. This has been the Polk County Monmouth Independence Community Elections Forum. Thank you very much. Have a nice evening.